Did you know that tarot cards can mean the difference between life and death? They can guide you when you are on the precipice of a massive life change or decision, and they can actually also lead you on a journey of hope and healing. Now, that is my story, and today's video, I'm going to share with you exactly what happened to me and how the tarot changed my life. If you are new here, I'm Zela, the founder and the high priestess of the Nightshade Sanctum Mystery School, a goddess, temple, and priestess path, as well as a witch school for people who are drawn to all things magical and mystical. Before we continue, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a video from me. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the hard stuff, the deep stuff, the big stuff. Many of you are aware that I had a troubled history and a struggle with substance abuse, and I'm actually coming up for 6 years completely clean and sober on the 10th of December 2025. So my clean date, or what we call my clean birthday, is on the 10th of December 2019 is the day that I got sober, and really from that point everything changed. That is why I call it my birthday, because that is the day that I truly actually came alive. Everything that happened before that, I was really just going around in circles and hitting the repeat button on a world of pain and stagnation and struggle. But I definitely hit a rock bottom that turned things around. Now, before I get into that, let me just explain to you a little bit about where I came from and what it looked like for me to struggle with substance abuse and addiction. Now, I come from a long line of substance abusers. Unfortunately, this is something that runs in my family, and there is definitely a genetic component, but in my case, there was also a clear environmental aspect to it as well. From really early on, I showed problematic drinking habits and using habits. I had a very early debut in terms of my drinking. I had my first drink, I didn't even remember, but I definitely remember starting to abuse alcohol and go binge drinking with my friends from about the age of 12. Now, I was definitely far too young to be drinking. I hung out with a lot of people who are much older than me, and because I didn't really have family, they tended to form something of a family structure for me. So one of the ways that I connected with people early on and that I found a sense of belonging was through my drinking and my partying and my shenanigans and antics with the people who, in my view, were my family. Drugs also became a problem for me pretty early on. By the time I was 16, I was really struggling in multiple areas of my life. I honestly don't know how I finished high school, but that really is a topic for another video. But essentially, I ended up also in the psychiatric system. I went there looking for support to help me with a lot of the mental health struggles that I was struggling with. At the end of the day, I was a homeless, alone high school student who was trying to put herself through school. So definitely there were a lot of mitigating factors there. I had no social or financial support. Life was very, very difficult for me, and I didn't feel like there was any hope for the future. But something inside of me really called or yearned for healing. And to be honest, I never wanted to be a fuck up, really. I never wanted to be the party girl or the crazy girl or the naughty girl at school or anything like that. I did develop a bit of a reputation, which is understandable given the situation, but that wasn't who I really was, and it wasn't who I wanted to be, that's for sure. When I was about 16, 17 years old, I managed to get a couple of months sober. I think I was about 6 months sober, but I really was trying to do it out of sheer willpower, and I didn't change anything else in my life. I was still hanging out with the same people, and so of course I ended up drinking again and using again and just going around in circles once more. It was my biggest dream to break the cycle of substance abuse, addiction, and violence and trauma that runs in my family line. And I remember being a little girl and standing in front of the mirror and promising myself that I wasn't going to end up like them. You know, I wasn't going to end up like my parents and lose my way in that way. Now, even in my teens, one of my biggest sources of support, you know, when you don't have access to really parents or anything like that, that, sometimes you have to look for support in unusual places. And for me, that came from my witchcraft magic practice and also my tarot reading practice. Honestly, my witchcraft in my teens is something that I really do credit for one of the reasons why I'm still alive today. Then again, maybe we can talk about teen witchcraft in another video. If that's something that interests you, then definitely comment below and let me know. I'll make that video for you. When I hit my late teens, so I was about 17 years old when I moved about 1,200 kilometers across the country, changed my name, and tried to start my life anew in Cape Town in South Africa. And it was my dream to get a university degree because I believe that was the one thing that could help me create a better future. It could maybe help me break the cycles that were present in my family because no one else had received a university degree in my direct line. And I honestly thought that was the missing piece. So I started studying at the University of Cape Town and I ended up getting multiple degrees. I actually have a PhD in medical microbiology and I worked in the medical research field for about a decade. But what I noticed, and also looking back, during my studies, my drinking and my using behavior really became a lot more cyclical. So when I was under a lot of academic pressure, when I had deadlines, I wouldn't drink, I wouldn't touch any substances, and I would just study super hard. So I had a bit of a workaholism pattern there. And then the moment I had a break, or if the pressure got too much, then I would go on a complete, binge, a complete rampage. And sometimes I would burn my whole life down in the process, really. But then I would kind of pull myself together to deal with the next deadline or the next thing. And at the end of the day, I was actually really high functioning through all of those years. I was one of the top students at my university. I received, prizes for the work I did. My research got funded. I won a fellowship or two, a couple. So in my mind, I thought I can't have a problem, right, if I am performing at such a high standard. All of that changed in 2017 at the beginning of that year, and I ended up in a hospital bed it was actually from over-exercise from a condition called rhabdomyolysis. And at that moment, to be honest, something broke in me. I think, yes, physically there was definitely a massive thing that I was dealing with, but at the end of the day, the breakage in me is what I can only really call a spiritual break, a spiritual collapse. And it was almost overnight from that point. Or I guess I regressed from, being able to maintain a certain level of functioning to after that just completely and utterly losing my ability to control or moderate my drinking and using. It just became an all day, everyday thing at that point. It was my coping mechanism. It's how I got through the day. I still managed to achieve a lot. I finished my PhD and, we got a paper out and all of that stuff. But inside, I was absolutely spiritually bereft. I had no will to live anymore. It was the end of everything for me. At the time, I was living in Berlin as well, which is I don't know if any of you guys have lived in Berlin, but in terms of drinking and drug use, let's just say, quite a place to live in. So I really did experience a long, painful rock bottom, and this is where the tarot comes back into my story in a big way. So I had always had tarot decks and read tarot cards. I had, done tarot readings for people. It was one of the ways that I put myself through high school and university. It's how I, gained access to an additional income stream, and it was also a talent of mine. But what happened after that accident that I had in 2017 is that I stopped doing professional paid readings for other people because I knew inside of me that I was not in any state to be reading for other people when I myself was not spiritually fit. If you've worked with me, you understand that embodiment is really important to me, meaning that in order to teach or do anything, I feel like I have to embody the practices or the teachings that I am suggesting to people or transmitting or channeling for people. So at that time in my life, there was definitely no embodiment, which I absolutely recognized. And so I ceased doing any kind of professional readings. But what I did do is I maintained my personal daily tarot and witchcraft practice. And if you want to hear a little bit more about the exact witchcraft practice that I did that got me through the darkest time of my life, then leave a comment below and I can address that in another video. But let's just talk about the tarot today. Essentially, every single day I would pull at least one tarot card in the morning, and I would journal about it, and I would reflect on it, and I would think about it throughout the day. I had 3 tarot cards that stalked me for 2 years, really. They stalked the hell out of me. Every time I pulled cards, either one or all of those 3 cards came up. When I did spreads, usually there was at least one or all of them present. You know, this was a dark time in my life. It felt like the cards were taunting me. It felt like they were making fun of me when I desperately at that point in my life wanted change. I wanted hope. I wanted to find some kind of light in the darkness. These cards would come through and they would simultaneously slap me in the face, but also somehow keep me going, keep me alive. The 3 cards that actually saved my life are the Devil, the Star, and the 8 of Cups. So I'll now move to a cutaway so that you can actually see the cards close up, but I'm going to show them to you today from the Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot, which is my favorite deck right now. And it might seem kind of counterintuitive, but it didn't bother me so much in that time when the Devil came up, because to me, the Devil kind of made sense. Like, I knew I had a problem. I knew that I had lost my personal agency, and that, this is a quintessential card for substance abuse or losing your power, your personal power, becoming enslaved. But it really still took me a long time to find my way into recovery. So yes, I got the message. I was like, Devil card, I know I got a problem, but what the hell do I do about it? And then the next card that came up constantly was the Star. And you know, the Star should be a joyful message to receive from the tarot, because it is a card of hope and healing. Ultimately, it appears after you've been through a serious upheaval, you know, tower moments. You have the tower moment, it breaks everything down catastrophically. In my case, that was when I got rhabdo and very nearly died. And then you get the Star, and you should be able to take a sigh of relief, like everything's going to be okay, because that is the message of this card. It's the star that comes out and guides you on your way through the darkness, through the storm, through the night, and helps you find that path to hope and healing after going through extraordinarily challenging or traumatic events. Now, in my case, this was the hardest card for me to receive, actually. I really struggled when this card came up, because this was the card that really felt like it was taunting me. I thought that there was no hope for me for the longest time, and actually for most of my life. It always felt like I was running from this thing that ran in my family, and that I could never stand a chance, because I don't know about you guys, but in my personal life and experience, I hadn't seen many people recover from addiction. I thought that once you go past a certain point, there's no coming back from it. That's how I lost my father. You know, that was the story with my mother. That's why I ended up alone and homeless as a teenager. So I always hoped that I could outrun this addiction and these problems that ran in my family. So when the Star came out, when I had realized that, oh shit, I have a problem and this has got me good, I was devastated. And it was never a good day when this card came up for me. But what it did is it planted the seed inside of my psyche, inside of my mind. You know, getting this card again and again, it really felt like spirit, or in my case, the goddesses, because I walk a goddess path. And if you want to hear about which goddesses were involved in this process, I can also address that in another video. Essentially, what it did was remind me, or at least slowly make me think that maybe there is something I can do and not just give up, but maybe there could be a story of hope for me. And that's what made the difference, because then when I started to look into recovery programs and to try to get the help that I needed. Now, of course, another card that was coming up constantly was the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups really depicts a situation where you have to leave something behind. It is a card of release. It's a card of cleaving away what doesn't serve. And so it's kind of related to the Death card in that way, because it's turning your back on, maybe it's a pattern or a person or a situation that you've really relied upon and that you could even love, and moving on into the unknown because you know that that situation has outlived its purpose. It is not lost on me, and it certainly wasn't lost on me at the time, that this was such a literal card for me. You know, the symbolism is powerful, yes, but literally in this case, the figure is walking away from 8 cups. In the journey, they are moving away from cups, and in my case that was literal. You know, whether it's the glasses of wine, the jugs of alcohol that I was consuming at the time, and the other substances as well, I knew that I had to leave that behind, and I had to try something that I had never tried before. And one of the main things that I had never ever done was speak to people who had done it, people who had recovered. My examples of addicts and alcoholics were all people who let it kind of take over and weren't willing to make any changes. So that is where I sought help. I entered into a recovery program, and that really was the turning point for me. It still took me about 8 months of attending recovery meetings and hearing people's stories before I truly believed that, well, I don't think I even believed at that time, but before I was willing to try it their way. Okay, so it still took some time. And then on the 10th of December 2019 is when I decided I was going to do my best at this, and I would take the suggestions that they had for me. And fast forward now to today, I am very nearly 6 years clean and sober, and I will be celebrating my clean birthday in a couple of weeks' time, about 3 weeks' time. So I'm absolutely ecstatic to have that amount of clean time. It has nothing to do with me. It is not something that I've done and I've achieved. It really has been my personal spiritual practice that has supported me through everything that in my case is my witchcraft practice. But you know, spirituality looks different for different people. It really is a personal thing. And of course, the ultimate thing was the recovery programs that I experienced and that I worked, and that gave me the support that I needed. There are a lot of people who've been involved in that story, and I owe it all to them. And I'm just so full of gratitude, because it turned out my story didn't need to be the story that was my parents and the story that is so many other addicts. Now, I don't know what the future holds, but what I know for a fact is that I'm grateful for the past 6 years, and I am absolutely ecstatic to be celebrating my birthday. Also, fun fact, when I turned 6 months clean, I went and I got a tattoo that has the symbolism of these 3 cards, the Devil, the 8 of Cups, and the Star. And the person who gave me that tattoo, and they were a vegan tattoo artist, and for me it's important that my tattoos are vegan. I don't want animal products under my skin permanently. That man who tattooed me eventually ended up being my husband. So the tarot cards didn't just save my life and prevent me from ending it all when I really wanted to, but they also helped me find my soulmate, and also helped me to move into this world where now I do this full time. I am a witch, a mystic, a tarot reader, a psychic, and the high priestess of this amazing witch school for incredible women. So guess what? You are actually personally invited to celebrate my clean birthday with me on the 10th of December 2025 at 7 p.m. Central European time. We will be gathering for a gratitude cauldron on Zoom, and the replay will be made available for 7 days for anyone who can't join live. It is by donation, so pay what you want and pay what you can, and all of the proceeds are actually going to go to Tears Foundation that supports women in crisis and women experiencing gender-based violence, survivors of sexual assault in South Africa. So it's for a really, really good cause, and I would be absolutely honored if you joined me for that immense personal milestone to help to raise funds as well for a cause that is very, very close to my heart. So I'm curious to hear from you. Have there been any moments where tarot cards have helped you come to a big decision or brought some joy and wellness and direction into your life? I think it is absolutely fascinating. I would love to hear your story in the comments below. It is so powerful to share our experiences of hope and of healing and our joy and love for the tarot. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell as well so that you never miss a video from me. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Much love and blessed be. But I found oh yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, if you got anything out of it, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the... If you enjoyed this video, please hit... Thank you so much for being here with me today. Much love and blessed be. My hair. Trying to think if there's anything else that I missed. What else do I want to say? Oh yeah, I don't know.